Okay. So, was that the issue? Were you the issue this entire time? Have I stopped dropping frames? Am I going to be stable? Was that it the entire time? Oh, okay. Okay. Please hold. I'm currently struggling with technology. Going super great right now. Also, I'm curious to see how these sit. Can I get just one, please? Actually, not that bad. Okay. Yeah, I could cut that entire box down really quickly. Or I can go buy and get more for a cheap price. Yay! It has been 11 minutes since my disconnect. Son of a bitch. Okay. Where we ended last time was utilizing colors red. So, where we're going to start, so I'm probably only going to use pink skin. I'm only going to focus on the one model today, or this afternoon, for a couple of hours, and then I will switch to something else this afternoon or this evening when I come back. Now that I figured out what was going on, so annoying. So annoying. I'll need to write them an email as well. Okay, so in order to get to my white base, I'm utilizing pink, Caucasian, sunny, or shiny, I guess you should say, and white. One of the things that I was thinking about earlier was I needed to get an off-white in here as well. One of the reasons why I need the off-white, because I want to fill in her eye socket, and I'm going to use Cloud Sky as my off-white color. So we're gonna give it some vibrating. And before something else falls again. Oh. Ah. We're gonna get our paints going. Also, since I've determined what it is, I'm going to plug it back in. Okay. To the far left, I'm going to go with my cloud. Far right, I'm going to go with my cloud sky. Yay. Then we're going to go to the white. And then we're going to go shiny skin tone. Yay. Pink skin to the far left. And we're going to go to Caucasian skin. Yay! Probably going to find a new playlist because I am not digging this lo-fi one that I got. We're going to shift to this guy. Share. Where are you at, my friend Nightbot? All right. Okay. Okie dokie, artichoke, here we go again. Deep breath. We get our brushes ready, and we're going to rock and roll. I'm going to start off with my size 0 from Chimera today. Where did that go? There it is. There it is. Maybe. We'll see. It's better. It's definitely better. The internet issue. The internet issue I did get resolved though. So I did adjust contrast and things like that, and you can definitely see a difference now. A little bit more between the light and the skin tone. It's better. It's definitely better. It's definitely better. I will admit it's definitely better. It's not 100%, but it's definitely better. There was a lot of frustrated words yesterday. Many. Get some water. It is better. It is definitely better. I I will pat myself on the back for that. It's definitely better. Figured out what the internet issue was and why OBS was constantly disconnecting as well. Oh, good. The glue to that broke. Okay. Don't force. So that was actually a VPN service that I had enabled that for whatever reason was constantly cycling or was forcing a recycle of the internet for some reason. So I turned it off, and guess what happened? My issue stopped. I wanted to put some light in her eye, just so it wouldn't look so creepy to me. We're going to primarily focus on her face right here for the time being. Actually, is there any reason why I cannot glue all of that together right now? Aside from the fact that it's janky as all get out on the fucking base. Because I want to deal with the flowers some more. That's why. It came with the Aura Protection Service for identity. It works fine on my tablet and my cell phone, but apparently on the PC side, it is not working so fine. Because I'm not constantly trying to stream off of those devices. So, alright. So, what I was using was pink skin and shiny skin tone. And I was pushing it up that way before jumping up to pure white. So I want this like slightly browny pink. Proton is free and okay. I'll put that on my list. That I'm gonna write down right now because I will forget. It's not really about it's on my list. Okay. Now that I've got this thinned out and ready to rock, what I wanted to do was to try to get some of the hard edges to not look so sketchy. And push in some of these shadows on the underside of her eye. Make it not look as stark as it was. Um, it was. It's basically included in the membership for Aura. That's a password block and a identity monitor. Um, that's why I had it enabled. So enjoy. I want to get a thin white here going as well. Hmm. We'll be fixing that later. Hmm. We'll be holding on to it for a while too. Since I got to hold on to it for such a time, let me get another water really quick. And we'll go from there. Wine and a chicken sandwich. How amazing is that? Okay. Now, I've got her in my hand. I can soften the red transition a little bit. That's someone's bite mark that I'm battling right there. Thank you so much for that, child of mine. If this was any other website that could be considered dirty. So I was looking up at the art for her, the box art, and she does use, so for like the makeup piece, I'm not a makeup person at all. Is really red underneath her eye. Like so. And then kind of right here next to the hairline. For sure, hard red line on the piece that's outside of direct sunlight. So essentially this whole front piece needs to be white. Oh, come on. I might need to get some black out so I can touch up that hair. Thanks. I literally have no idea what I'm doing right now. I'm herping my way through some of this as I'm trying to determine what I want it to be versus what it is turning out to be. Because I look at the box art and I really like the way that it looks. And I like the idea of the geisha, the aesthetic of the geisha, really. And the beauty that they really brought to the mix. But you don't want it to be like a solid white. I feel like it needs to have a lot of the warmth underneath of it, so it can read as a made-up face rather than a here's the color white painted over black. You know what I mean? Like if I grabbed this fun person right here, you really can't see much on her. But if I just straight based her face in white, I don't think she's going to give the same warm vibe as mate. Something that has the base coats and the layers that I went through with this. If that makes sense. Because that's something I've, as a young or inexperienced painter, I guess you would say, frequently struggled with is what is the point of the underpainting? You know what I mean? It's not always overly evident why we should underpaint in the colors that we do. Because, you know, if you're painting orcs and greenskins and stuff like that, everybody tells you, oh, you really need to paint in reds and pinks before you paint the green on. That makes sense. Probably does. You come here. The underpainting value. So you can see her. I'm going to put another layer of white on the face. And it's coming out as white. You know what I mean? It's just white. So experimenting a little bit with her. I'm not experimenting a whole lot. It's stuff that's been, you know, shouted at us. Underpaint your miniatures, and that color is what influences everything else. And then, you know, we end up painting over 90% of it. And then we go, why didn't I just start off with the color blue? Unless, yeah. So, 52 miniatures would often. Um, he did a lot of stuff talking about his first time painting object source lighting. One of his videos that he did. I remember it very vividly because I thought it was interesting. And I think Vince Ventrella did something at a later time in which he kind of talked about I'm just using a little bit of a super thin sunny skin and pink skin mixture with some white to kind of just trace in some hard lines that I know exist on the face. So that's the other way to go about it too. Is that so for this guy right here that you can't see shit on right now because he's all brown, and if I turn up the exposure, he's just flat brown because I haven't put any, like, I've done some lines on him or them, but I haven't really done much else. But it was just, the wyvern leather, which is a very reddy brown, that base coated over everything, and it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. That looks great. But the white for the face and the skin tone does not look good over the black. Because if I took her hand right there and said, let's do Caucasian skin over the black, assuming I could have it in a nice smooth base coat. It will come up differently in a second. I'm going to let it dry though. Or, another good example is her. So I base coated her using the salmon skin. And used pink skin on her as well. So you can really see a difference now in her face. Usually does. The lo-fi isn't helping either. If I base coat in a Caucasian skin over my pink skin, very big difference. Really helps out with informing the color. Ooh, come back here. Yep. Enjoy your nap. Enjoy your nap, sire. Or ma'am, whichever. I'm just going to look over it. Statistics for the YouTubes. I will continue to ramble once I lower my desk. Okay. So, we're going to pick her up again. And we're going to continue to go down this white. The insanity of this white. Chimera. Chimera. 1 second. Chat. Thank you, Nightbot. Thank you so much. That's where I picked her up at. It was a part of a 3-pack with a couple of others that I bought. God, it feels like years ago. I finally decided to challenge myself a smidge and see what I and paint my first bust. Primarily, I paint 28 millimeter or tabletop size non Warhammer projects, non Warhammer things, and this is technically the first bust. The second bust that I've been working on is him. Yeah. I also have. Oh, 1 second. Where did she go? Sorry, I'm losing everything under the sun right now. I also have her from Big Child Creatives, Cat the Witches, at 75 millimeter. So I currently have multiple different sizes on my desk. This one I primed up 23, early 23, and I finally decided it's time to start painting her. So I'm working a little bit. Hello. Greetings and salutations. I am sorry for all of the spam that you got earlier. I figured out what was causing my disconnection issues with OBS. I'm assuming there was a crap ton of spam that went out. So, in order to play with the color white, because she is geisha, she really powdered herself up to a very white tone. But as I was talking with someone else earlier, the original base skin tone was a pink skin from Chimera that I highlighted up using shiny skin tone quite a bit to get to where this base is at right here. And now I'm working on this. I decided to focus in on her face a little bit and work my way down. So I am looking up at the box art every so often to see what I need to have be a specific set of colors. She decided that, or apparently the glue that I used decided it wanted to give out on the base. So I picked her up, slid her off of that, and I will deal with that at a later time. So I will hold her in my hand with a black glove. So to avoid excessive rub off of paint. So to help with the white, I'm mixing a mixture of cloud sky and white together. Kind of get a off-white going, so to say, speak. Thank you. It's taken a lot of frustrating. There are many frustrating nights getting here to this point. But rather than have it be pure white, mixing in some stuff to help bring it down some. It was it was an accident. The spam was my apparently the VPN that I am utilizing or had been utilizing decided that it was the reason why it wanted to disconnect OBS every 20 seconds. So I apologize for that, Cutler. I realized it Friday. and I started to investigate what was going on. Saturday, I took a break and slept and tried to get my camera to be more correct than it had been to battle the washout of the colors that I was using. And then I realized it was going on today, so I turned it off when I realized what was causing the issue. What is that Moonlight? No, that's not Moonlight Minis. Who is MW? Just out of curiosity. And then, oh, Mindworks. Mindworks. Did they partner recently? No, they didn't partner with Monument Hobbies. Is it really important to get underneath the chin as much as I just did? Probably not. Am I going to continue to do it? Probably so. I've actually not picked up any of the Mindworks stuff that I can recall off the top of my head. I want a little bit darker of a... He says he wants darker. It's about the same damn color. A little bit darker right there. I am thankful. I think my Kickstarters are finally all fulfilled and done. I cannot. I've got too many unfinished projects. If I painted every day, if I could complete one thing every day, I might be out of hobby debt in a year. No, wouldn't be a year. It might be 3 years before I get out of complete and utter hobby debt. Yes. Yes. This guy, he was from Bones 5. There's other you could have bought him before that, but he came from Bones 5. This guy came from Chimera, the Ten Brave Fate of Astaria Kickstarter. Wet Palette came from Redgrass Games. I backed theirs. The hobby racks that I use for my paints from Cobalt Keep do. It's usually the hobby stuff has a pretty high success rate. The only one that I have actually ever felt super weird by is Blacklist Miniatures. Oh, Batman, this card game or the board game for this, that was a Kickstarter as well. The Batman series from IDW. At some point, my dumbass is going to get the Kickstarter stuff from Steamforged Games, which is the Elden Ring board game. So we will probably be painting that on stream as well. Mindworks game, the Mr. Torque's Borderland Arena of Badassery. I have that entire board game as well to paint. which will be a lot of fun when I decide to paint it up. I had decided earlier this year that I was going to potentially focus one game for the year of painting. I had gotten Hey, I thought you would enjoy the black felt that I have, that it's helping with some of the camera stuff. Um, I have remembered, and I am remembering. Um, oh, one second. So, this Kickstarter from Monster Fight Club. I did paint up a Moxie from them. So we do the hobby Kickstarters. They tend to go no problem with fulfillment. Hey, when I'm working on it, okay? It's a piece it's a piece de resistance project. How many changes have you specifically seen on this channel alone? On top of that, I am also streaming in the vertical format over on YouTube. Now, we get to see how terrible I am at anatomy when it comes to um, oh, and a lot of the paints came from Chimera as well that I'm currently using for this model. I'm using pink skin as a placeholder. Hey, you know, at one point, honestly, because I spent some time today working with Stream Elements trying to get it set up, which, by the way, that does not seem to want to work at all right now. Um, I thought about using some of my Dream Up packs from DeviantArt and start making emotes. And I thought about having a dancing cat in the vaporwave just for you. Just for you. Thank you for the follow over there on Instagram, Antifees. I will be posting. I need to get in a habit. So, that is getting to a point of interesting. And if I take just pure white now, I can try to smooth out some. Just a smidge. And not, I don't want everything to be pure white. Kind of like some of the color variations that I'm getting here and there. Was it Dana Howell that would kind of post her hobby streaks? And that got up to like something ridiculous. And Paint Bravely the podcast from Brent and Casey kept trying to jinx her. And eventually they did. They felt so bad about it. What if I take some of this cloud sky, thin it down quite a bit again? Everything else. Uh-oh. Thin it down some. Kind of use that as where I know I definitely want something a little bit darker. See how I feel about that. We'll see how I feel about that. But one of the conversations I was having with someone before was how much the importance of one of the things that I've frequently struggled with while painting. I used to fall asleep listening to those two ramble on, and I just kind of fell out of it because I think they stopped posting for a while. But to be fair, if it was Casey, he probably deserved it. So I don't feel overly bad about that. Kind of want a really weird muted brown. Kind of help deal with some of these shadows that I'm not sighing at you. If I'm sorry, but if you're dumb enough and you haven't figured that side exists in that way, I'm you earned it. You earned that. That's 100% on you, good sire. That's you can't. No, no, I disagree. Oh, sorry. Hold on. User actions. Oh, 1 second. I okay. I need to go through and update some of Nightbot settings. Sorry about that antifreeze. It's kind of set as a super aggressive frame right now rather than a passive state. And I used a generic blacklist. Um, uh, why are those two words there? Sorry. Why is that word there? Oh my God. I really need to go through this list and clean it out. 1 second. I need to stand up. Okay. Should be updated a little bit now. You know, we we do things. We do things because it. You want to know the really funny part? Is that Casey lives out in Vegas. He's Vegas or he's Reno, one of the two. Um, where it's very common to potentially run across those kinds of things. Yeah. I knew he was Reno or Vegas, one of the two. I've seen him post about, or not post, but he's definitely mentioned those areas once or twice. Um, so it's something that you would definitely run across out there, and it's not like it's some. Eh, I actually kind of like Casey's videos a little bit more than others. When I watch his YouTube stuff, his miniature rescues tend to be very insightful sometimes when it comes to painting. And he doesn't get all that preachy like some others do, but uh, there's not a whole lot of people posting about Chimera content or Dungeons and Dragons content in general. So I believe I have found a niche that I want to work in, and that's where I'm going to kind of focus my time and effort. I mean, I think I watched one of the more memorable videos that I can remember from him is the Black Coach restoration that he did. That is like the one Warhammer model that I would consider to paint. Because he used to actually, when he did his videos, it usually had a lot of interesting music in the background that I really enjoyed listening to as well. Yeah. Was that his band? Wouldn't surprise me if Casey was in a band. Ah. He used to. He used to put he used to use a lot of interesting instrumental metal when he did a lot of his early stuff. And he used to um I need to thin that more. Getting too streaky. Well, but yeah, Lila, for a long time, I've only ever known her to paint Warhammer. I know she frequently would not, and then she made her own. She tried to make her own miniature for a while, too, which I thought was kind of cool. But I didn't like the way that it looked, so I did not pick it up. Where I realized I had too much on my desk as it stands, and I'm like, I cannot take on another project that's literally going to sit there for Lord knows how long. It's always kind of weird to see, like, I know Ninja Maniac and Vince, including Sam Lenz, kind of talk a couple of times a year, and I think they come up with a group idea of when they're supposed to post things. I don't think it's intentional, but it feels like every time that there's a Warhammer, every time it feels like there's like some kind of weird lag between different types of posts, and you'll see it from everybody else. Like you'll start to see like hobby tools that I use, and then you'll see Vince post hobby tools that I use, and then you'll see Lila post hobby tools that she uses about 2 weeks later. Kind of deal. It's a lot of annoying, is what it comes down to. Uh, I always thought it was a little awkward and a little weird sometimes, and I don't think they meant it to be that way. So you can kind of see the number of layers I went over this versus this, and how much wider that's reading versus her chest and her arm right there. And we are only using pink skin, Caucasian skin, shiny skin tone, white, and cloud sky. Those are the only colors on the palette right now. I'm not using anything else. Oh, stretch. 1 second, I need to stand up. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. And thank you for the follow, Antifreeze. It's good to know that none of my alerts are working. Love it. You get to see the disco that goes on with this stuff as well. So, I really want to continue focused on one area right now, and that is the upper shoulder. I'm kind of liking the idea that I came up with, oddly enough, which was to utilize some of the cloud sky and create a kind of a creamier white rather than it be just pure white. That way I can start the level. So it worked with Streamlabs. I decided to get a brand new laptop for streaming that had a decent video card in it, and it wasn't something that wasn't a really basic laptop. When I did that, I downloaded and installed Streamlabs. Said, okay, so it should all work perfectly, and it should all be cloud-based, and the overlay and all that stuff should work no problem, right? Right? Wrong. Did not work. So I recreated everything in OBS earlier this week while I was on PTO. Got OBS up and running. Perfectly A-okay and just fine. And then realized that none of my alerts are working the way that they're supposed to. So I'll be, battling that frequently and continuing that joy. That is way too thick. You are correct. Nobody does. I wanted to get better, not better, but I wanted to be more consistent with my hobby time. And I really wanted to create a schedule for myself to get away from work and step away from that desk quite frequently. So I decided to start streaming again after many years of hiatus. I figured I would stream my miniature painting escapades, because one of the things that I learned when being a new painter is that it is hard. to. It is hard finding somebody worth following in the painting community that's brand new, and then starting to understand kind of like the steps that they go through. So this is literally a painting journey of failure. Yeah, don't come back for LOL content. Please don't. I'm playing League of Legends again. Send help. Send help. I thought about playing it once upon a time, but my desktop upstairs required too much updating, and I'm just like, I don't really want to do this. I want to pick up the paint brush and paint it, and be busy with my hands in other ways, and kind of have fun learning about it. Calbot Animations recently did a funny video. If you've never seen his stuff, their stuff, whatever. Essentially, he's like, Arcane made me do it, and it was him streaming some game, and it was just the constant whining of one of the players. I'm like, essentially, yeah. Essentially, yes. That you have nailed League of Legends down to a T, good sir. The Arcane show on Netflix, that stuff's pretty freaking good. So yesterday, she was a turbocharged gremlin for a number of hours in the evening as I was trying to struggle with getting the camera settings right. It has changed quite a bit since then because I was having issues with whiteout and washout. And attempting to. So I was painting her up a little bit while I was on stream. You can't see Jack, but you can make out the white and the brown, whereas she's right here. I was trying to talk about non-metallic metal and kind of the cheap and dirty way I was doing her waistband on the 28mm side. And the skin tone you can kind of see is just a little varied, but yesterday it was not there because my camera's settings were too bright and you couldn't pick up Jack. Like, you can see the red right there and kind of a transition to the white here. You can see the red and the pink there on the necklace and some of the transitions in between. So I was fighting with the camera all day yesterday, or yesterday evening, because I decided I wanted to nap Saturday a little bit. So when I came to actually sit down after dinner and adjust the settings of the camera and really work at it, it was nice, but at the same time, someone was constantly yowling and wanting my attention. She has finally decided to lay down and sleep by the window. That's nuts. That's nuts. I did not think about how fast this was going to go once I started getting her face squared away. That's kind of one of the reasons why I enjoy painting more than I enjoy playing League of Legends too, is that slowly working my way through and learning how to use the skills is kind of fun and interesting, for me at least. I want to get some brownie white tone going here because I need to soften a transition. Between the highly saturated pink skin and white that I'm starting to build up there on the underside near the kimono. We're focusing on the shoulder. Did not mean to do the entirety of the back, but I did. But we're going to focus on the shoulder. Hello. Are you finally done with your nap? And the music isn't too loud, is it? Hello. Hello. Oh, excellent. I knew it was quiet. Because I wonder. Okay. Someone's claws have come out. Good afternoon. How are you? Okay, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. You want to say hello? Did you want to say hello? Did you want to get vocal? Are you ready to stretch? Did you have a good nap? Was it a relaxing nap? Yep, okay. I'm going to put you down. Yes, she did wake up. At a solid hour of her not requiring my attention. When she requires the red dot. Yeah. Yeah. That's essentially the LOL is correct. One of the things that I plan to do during the dinner break is figure out how to use videos instead of trying to force everything into a GIF format. For when I need a red dot and people can see the monster that I play with. But when she's awake and requires my attention, it does remind me to take small breaks when painting, to set something down and let it dry. Hi. Yeah, that's my butt. That's my butt. Give me a couple of minutes. Oh. I'm very much still present though. Where'd your laser power? Where'd it go? Where's your laser pointer? There it is. What's up? Okay. You're having trouble tracking it in the sunlight. That's part of the problem, is you can't track it in the sunlight, can you? Yeah. Okay. You're not going to actively chase it. I'm just going to kind of stop. I will put that on the list. I'll need to download VLC on this laptop and make a video playlist of the cat, because it's a lot easier for me to record videos of her. I do have a new one. I just haven't converted it over to a GIF yet. So when I use the VLC, hopefully I can make a playlist for her. Because I got one of her being very annoyed at the clothes hamper and trying to knock it over. Um, Thank you, cat hair. So you can see the difference between the right and the left hand side. Just in those few little layers of white that I've put on there. Isn't it great when I know what I'm doing sometimes, or I look like I know what I'm doing? Makes life a lot easier. Alternatively, my dumb ass could use a different size brush. Okay. So I'm going to grab my size 2 from Chimera. The only reason why I'm using the size 2 from Chimera is I actually kind of like the triangle tips that this one uses. It really helps get quite a bit of paint going across what I want it to, rather than the smaller amounts that the size one was giving. But as use whatever size brush you want, or use whatever brush you want, really. The same effect can be achieved by a $7 synthetic one, or a $7 pack of $1 brushes from Walmart. I had these, so I decided I wanted to start using them. And when working this, then try to drag towards what you want to cover up. Because it'll actually help me create bigger puddles of paint that I want to utilize. I want that to be at least colored right here. Hi. How are you? How are you? One second, I'm gonna grab a snack. What? No, this is mine. This is not yours. You cannot have any of this. Nothing has jumped out at me yet. Reaper's doing additional paint, which I have a shit ton of it, so I don't need any. Monument is doing something. I think Bird with a Brush posted something on Instagram as well about hobby deals for Cyber Monday and Black Friday that she was keeping an eye out for. Yeah, Monument's doing free shipping. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't really need anything for Monument right now, so the only thing I would actually ever recommend, or their products are good, and I would recommend their brushes, the Pro Sable lines if they're in stock, and I use their. I'm not doing scale 75. I'm not. I'm not going anywhere near scale 75 if I can avoid it. Scale is good. I. It just takes a lot to get used to that paint, and it does not behave all that similar to Reaper and um, Chimera. It it's a weird. So some of their paint can be very thick, is what I learned, and it's a lot of the gel medium that they use that just because of how it is, it works really great for glazes. Like it's exceptionally great at glazing. Um, but the problem is that if you get like just a little bit over, it's the end of the world. Yeah. So that's not what I want to grab. What I want to grab, you gotta move. Um, African shadow, Indian shadow, and Arabic shadow. I have those three skin tones. I I do love them. I do love those three, but I've also started moving off a lot of their a lot of the stuff that I don't like. I've been sliding off somewhere else because I just either I use it and then I instantly hate it, or I use it and I go, okay, that wasn't bad, and then I use it and I go, shit, that's fucked up, and I have to start over with something. Yeah. Um, I have a lot of Reaper MSP. I have a lot. I have 2 nail polish racks full of Reaper MSP. As a matter of fact. Um, I I think Reaper's how a lot of people. Well, it's how I got started painting. So I have a lot of love for their stuff. It's just right now they're suffering from their paint department is anyway. I think is suffering from a lot of consistency issues, and they're challenging themselves more than they should be with getting it right. Yeah. And there's some Reaper colors that I absolutely love, um, and I can do nothing without. If they got rid of, well, they can get rid of it because I have it. I am just highlighting up right now. I'm trying to glaze over in white and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, I do as well. I, anybody wanted to like learn how to paint, it's always going to be Reaper MSP or the Reaper. So a lot of this base that I've painted for the Cat 75 Witch is actually Reaper MSP as well, and you can't really tell the difference um, between what is Reaper and what is not. To be honest with you, because the Reaper Learn to Paint kit really teaches you where to kind of start. So ReaperCon is at the same time as another convention that I attend, and I go to that convention because it's conveniently cheap for me and easy for me to access. So one year I may make my pilgrimage out to Reaper and visit the factory and all that with all of the people from Painting Bigs Patreon. I think, yeah. Okay, so that's obviously white, and that's slightly less white. I feel like I'm Archer right now going, bring me my black turtleneck with my slightly blacker turtleneck. Are you so proud you have a bed right now? That you made out of stolen things? In between, right here, needs a little bit more attention. I mean, everything needs more attention. Nothing is final and nothing is done. I'm just starting to futz for futzing's sake. Oh. I really want to start getting established tones down. Really, is my goal. Two, kind of get an idea of where I'm at. A number of things. And she's back down for the count again. Kind of like how she's looking. I look up at the art a little bit. I think I need to darken in between here some more to get more of a transition going on there. I'm going to take some of my shiny skin tone and Caucasian skin, thin it down some more. Kind of help get some really interesting. Start to glaze it down a little bit. And then I can take pink skin, thin it down as well. After I let it dry. Let it dry. Or someone chomped on this model, one of the two. But I have something kind of interesting. I might glaze in some of the white brown again. And that really thin layer. Which Halloween one? Or are you talking like a big Halloween skeleton? Oh. Thank you, filters. I enjoy, but I'm also not able to have a conversation. I may disable you. Let's see how I feel. So, I brushed over a thin layer of the brown white mix that I used. Because I'm looking up at the box art reference picture that I have hanging nearby. One of the things that I noticed is that the chest piece is a little bit darker than her face when it comes to it. And I'm thinking I need a little bit more brown than white. I don't want to glaze over it kind of in a wash, but not exactly a wash. And you can kind of see that the chest is a little bit different than the face. And I think I like that a little bit more than I originally had done when I went all white. Now I just need to make it look nice and smooth. I think that's going to... I think that's kind of where I want to end up with her. I think it's kind of interesting, the skin tone that she has going on. I think it's kind of true and faithful to the box art, which I like a lot. The one thing I do want to paint in this pink, since I have it out right now, though, I need my magnifying glass. trying to pick out in the neck piece is her red gem. Wanted to give myself a head start on painting it before I got in trouble later on with something else. Okay, so there's a part of me that wants to try to make sure I'm a little bit smoother with my kind of glazing of the browny white tone that I used. Not be so patchy. Or, I mean, it looks patchy to me. It looks fine on camera. To me, I can see it. It's kind of bothersome. Kind of like where she's at right now. I want to look smidgely dangerous right now. I want to take pure black. I want to get my brush out of the way. I want to get my fine fur brush. Get it nice and wet again. I want to take pure black. Pin it down. Get my magnifying glass. Work on bringing up the edge between her hair and where her face starts. Which I nailed. First try. I put her head hairpiece right there. It looks relatively uniform. Okay. I think that's going to call it for me. For now. given that I've figured out a number of issues. I will probably return tonight at 6:30, and I am not going to return back to painting her today. I'm going to break up and do something else. I may do... I may return to my non-metallic metal exploration that I'm doing with the Bellmouth model. So I did start a Discord, or I started a username for the Discord. One of the things that's on my list to do by the time the new year starts is have a Discord channel set up. That is on my goal. To have a Discord set up by the start of the next year, when I can make sure that everything is uniformly named. It does exist. Ish. But I will probably get one set up later, as in end of the year, when I get back from visiting family. Hey, ish is an acceptable plan, considering every day of the week I'm, fighting with a handful of different things. Because I can use go live notices or a bot in it to announce when I'm going live. Oh, I need to rinse this out too. Okay, I'm gonna have to wash that out. So, I thank you all for tuning in. I shall be back later this evening around 6:30 Eastern Time to once again torture with terrible painting and picking up something fun. Thank you all for tuning in. You have a great night. I look forward to seeing you later. Good night.